Listen, it's your time. And I want you to go within, and I want you to take some notes on some things that I want to share with you. And here's one of the things I want you to realize and to come to grips with. I didn't do what I'm doing now for 14 years because I didn't realize that it was my time. Now you might be saying, well, how do you determine that? The fact that you're here to do the greater work. And what I did was I disqualified myself. I kept myself on the sideline. I was an onlooker as opposed to becoming actively engaged in this thing called life. This is your time. I want you to write this down. Seize the moment. Seize the moment. Remember when Michael Jackson put off years from doing a national and international tour? And then he said he's going to put on this last concert. And he said, this is it. Don't forget that. He said, this one that I'm going to do, this is it. I'm going to put all my stuff in it. Some of y'all remember this. He said, this is it. He didn't realize that life is so uncertain. He didn't realize it's so unpredictable. He did not realize that there are no guarantees. Here's a quote I want you to think about. If you put everything off until you're sure of it, you'll never get anything done. If you put everything off until you're sure of it, you'll never get anything done. And so I remember thinking about, well, I don't have a college education. Well, I can't compete with people with PhDs and MBAs. I don't have any paper behind my name. Listen, what you have and who you are is enough. Become actively engaged in this thing called life. Seize the moment. I constantly say, live like a warrior. And warriors are always in fight mode. And this is what you have to do, because this thing called life, it's challenging. You got to fight for peace of mind. You got to fight to stay away from the refrigerator. You got to fight to stay away from toxic, negative, energy draining people. You've got to fight to stay focused. You've got to fight to put all your efforts and energy into things that's productive, that's positive, and purposeful. See, it doesn't take any motivation to procrastinate. It doesn't take any motivation to put things off or to think negatively, but it takes motivation to be optimistic in spite of, to have a perpetual vision of yourself and your life in a spirit of optimism, in spite of the circumstances and the adversities that's always knocking at the door or peeping through the window. If you put everything off till everything get right, oh, when I get all my ducks lined up, is that right? What if it's not duck season? When I get all my ducks lined up, when Peter stopped robbing, one of those things my mother used to say, robbing Peter to pay Paul. That's what Mama used to say. Robbing Peter to pay Paul. How did she come up with that one? Listen, if there's anything that we know now, just with the coronavirus alone, do what you're going to do and do it now with a sense of urgency. And here's something else that I want you to look at, and that things that I know. I'm 75, and so I know a thing or two. And I remind you of that because I'm finding so many of my classmates, the only time that I get calls from them is when someone dies. Now, guess what happens when somebody who's handling the roster for class reunions and activities of people that we graduated with? You know what happens when you get calls to that effect or get a text? You're thinking, am I next? Send me some information about the ones that are living. Send me some information about my classmates that are making a difference. Send me something about my classmates who graduated with me in 1963 from Booker T. Washington High School in Miami, Florida, that's living their dream and taking their lives to the next level, that's creating generational wealth, that's happy and successful, and what good things that they're doing in the world, the greater work, so I can emulate that, so I can be encouraged by that. Don't tell me about people that's dying. I find out sooner or later. I'm not being insistent. I really don't mind that. But I'm saying, let's balance it out. Balance it out, because all of us going to go. Nobody's figured out how to get out of life alive. Nobody. All of us going to check out of here. People dying today who never died before. You know what? Oh, behave, Tyrone. You know what? So here's something that Shakespeare said: defer no time. Delays have dangerous ends. Defer no time. Delays have dangerous ends. You think about that, because I didn't think I can be who I'm now being. I didn't think the life that I've been living, that it was available to me. Here's what I know. If you focus on living, if you focus on being actively engaged in life, every day finding some way in which you can make a greater impact, where you can do more, that you can achieve more, the possibilities are unlimited as to what can open up for you. And so I was hungry. How did you get started? I was hungry. I was hungry to buy a home for my mother. I was hungry to do something that would give my life a sense of value. I was hungry to be my own boss. I realized that the reason at first I used to get angry when they used to fire me, saying I had too much mouth, and that I was just too upbeat. And so they want to check me. They want to put me in my place. Well, I'm not that kind of guy that you can just disrespect me. No. This is your place, not a problem. I was looking for a job when I found this one. No problem. And so, but I noticed that the things that happen, what appears to be happening to you, they're really things that's happening for you. Because had I not been made uncomfortable working for someone, you would not know this Les Brown that you now see. See, sometimes life has to step in and say, you know what? He's a slow learner. Let's step in here. When you don't have enough courage to do what it is that you've been sent here to do, to live the life that you've been chosen out of 400 million sperm to live, when you don't have enough courage to do that, life moves on you. You were chosen to do the greater work. That's why you're still breathing. That's why you're not taking a dirt nap. That's why you are here, to be a blessing. We were created by the Creator to create. What do you mean by hungry? People that are hungry, they're positive about what they want. People that are hungry, they're persistent. They keep coming back again and again and again. They know that you will fail your way to success. People that are hungry are willing to persevere when it appears that all the odds are stacked against them. They keep coming on. When everybody has counted them out, they as long as they got a pulse, they keep coming back. They keep holding on. They don't give up. They might bend, but they won't break. Are you hungry? Is there something in your life, as you think about your life right now? And I did this self-explanatory style of saying to me, Les Brown, come on, you can do this. You can do this. Sometimes you have to talk to yourself. But the other thing is, I asked myself, if I died now, what would I be upset about? Some dream that I had that I put off that I didn't get done. And at that point, I thought about, I love to travel. There are places I wanted to go, things I wanted to see, experiences I wanted to have. And I saw a guy who was speaking, and I said, hey, I can do that. The room was as quiet as a graveyard between funerals. He didn't get any response from the audience at all. I feel so sorry for him. But I said, hey, man, this guy is boring. Fortunately, I was seated next to his brother-in-law. Coincidence is God's way of staying anonymous. I said, this guy is boring. And he said, the brother-in-law, you ought to be that boring and make the kind of money he made. I said, well, how much money he made? He said, $5,000 an hour. I said, oh, I can do that. Now, mind you, before then, I talked myself out of it. Gary Cox said this: when there's an argument between your mind and your heart, follow your heart. Where your heart is, there your treasure is also. Follow your heart. Most of us have a mind-driven life, you know, and what do you mean by that? There's eyesight and there's mind sight. See, the mind, that's where your imagination resides. See, when you have eyesight, you just judge according to appearances, but mind sight, you look beyond the appearances and you create a vision in your mind of things already accomplished, because all dreams happen twice. First in the mind and then in the without. Okay? So I want you to, especially now, with this coronavirus thing, especially now, with all the other stuff and drama that's going on every day in the world, nationally, globally, and locally, especially now, but you might be breathing the wrong air seated next to someone, or walking and somebody walked past you and you don't know what's going on with them. I got on an elevator at Emory University and they only allow 4 people on the elevator. And this guy had his mask on, I had mine on, and then nobody there but he and I. And then he took his mask off to sneeze. Let me tell you something up in here. I was about to lose my mind with him. I'm about to say, I was looking at him, you about to make me lose my mind. Up in here, up in here. I know if he could have jumped out of the elevator, he'd have left there soon. The look I gave him, if you don't put that mask back on, I gave him that Mamie Brown look. You know, my mama used to say, you know what? Y'all better not make me come back there. No, ma'am, mama, please don't come back. We would bring out the King Kong. One of the things I'm doing, this is the beginning of the year, and I want you to listen to me closely. You can't make it by yourself today. There's so many things that's happening, so many things that's changing. And as you look at where things are right now, let me say something that the news won't tell you. All right, listen to me. God's in, he's in all of this. God is in this mix up in here. Do you hear me? He's all over this stuff. They ain't talking about that. They should have breaking news. God is interrupted all this mess that's going on up in here. Breaking news, he's still on the throne. Breaking news, all things work together for good for those who love God and for those who are called according to his purpose. That's the breaking news. There will be no commercial breaks, just this information. All things. Did you say something? No. All things. Come on. Now, are you really all things? All things work together for those who love God and for those who are called according to his purpose. That's some good news up in here. They don't know. If it leads, if it bleeds, it leads. See, if somebody's got to die, got to be an accident, something ugly got to happen to make the news. But the real good news is that all things work together for good for those who love God according to his purpose. Well, what about my adverse circumstances right now? Trust me, it's going to work out. Well, what about the fact that I'm about to be foreclosed? Trust me, it's going to work out. What about the fact I'm facing eviction? What about the fact that I've lost my job? Trust me, trust him. It's going to work out. This is not the end. It's just the beginning of a new chapter in your life. It's a new chapter. And as you believe As you keep the faith. Keep the faith, baby. Adam Clayton Powell knew what he's talking about. Keep the faith. Oh, we've gone through some stuff before. Keep the faith, baby. Oh no, see, in this place where we are, it's easy to have faith when you got money, you got your health, and things are working out fine for you. Oh, it's so fine. You can easily say, oh, just think positive and be enthusiastic and everything will work out all right. No, you're gonna get some whippings in this thing called life. You have to keep the faith. Because this stuff is cyclic. Sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down. Sometimes things go well, sometimes they don't go so well. And no guts, no glory. It takes guts to continue to believe, to trust, to stand strong, to stand up inside yourself. It takes guts to do that. To come back again and again and again. It takes guts to look at things that you put all your effort and all your money and all your energy into, and then you have life interrupt you and you lose everything except your life. People say, I lost everything. I want to just tap on the television and say, no, you didn't lose everything. No. You have life. You're still here, you're still breathing, you still got a pulse. And who you are behind your eyes is still here. And that force, that energy, that presence behind your eyes can produce what it is that you've lost. 8 out of 10 millionaires have been bankrupt. You're not a loser. Things just did not happen the way you wanted them to happen. You're a winner. You were born to win. You came here winning. So whatever you want to do it now. And if you're going through some stuff right now, keep it moving, baby. Keep it moving. No. I'm depressed right now. No, you don't have the luxury of being depressed. Keep it moving. Use your mind to be creative. And look for a way to get out of the situation where you are. You will work your way back to where you were and beyond there. Therefore, take unto you the whole armor. Yes. Commit thy works unto the Lord, and thy thoughts shall be established. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy path. You've been given authority and dominion over everything on the face of the earth. Those are not just words that were printed on a page. Those are words that to become actualized in your life. And I'm putting together groups, mastermind groups of greatness. People, see, in order to make it, the 3 things that's major right now. Number 1, working on your mind. So when you go to hungrytospeak.com, you're going to get some things that you listen to called Choosing Your Future, that as you listen to this message over and over and over again, it's going to change your life overnight. There are people listening to me right now. I want you to put on the screen what difference those messages have made in your life. Put them up there so people can see them. Put them up there right now. Do it right now. If you've heard Choosing Your Future, it's possible. It's necessary. It's you. It's hard. It's worth it. It's done. Stick a fork in it. It's done. Yes, stick a fork in it. There's some people can tell you, that will tell you. Do you see anything yet, John Leslie? Yeah. They're putting it up there? Yeah, let me tell you something. It will make you get your hustle on. Let me tell you something. Don't listen to it at night. You won't be able to go to sleep. You'll be so motivated to be talking in your sleep. Listen, and it
said lessons on fire.
Thank you. Who said that?
Kent.
Hey, Kent. Hey, brother Kent. Hiya. All right, Kent. Oh, man, listen to me. Because you survived. Do you know who you are? Do you know who you are? You made it out of 2020. Whoa! Don't miss that. Don't miss that. A lot of folk didn't make it. A lot of people didn't make it. Don't take it for granted that you're supposed to make it. To just have a spirit of humility and say, thank you, Lord. A lot of people are partying. I wasn't partying. I said, thank you, Lord, I'm still here. Cancer Centers of America amazed at me. They say he's dealing with 4-stage cancer, but he's still here. He's been here for 29 years with this, and he hear about with some pain that's in his shoulders and his back, but he's still here. He's 75. Don't look at, but he's still here. He says he used mascara to cover his gray, but he's still here. Ooh, in fact, I see some gray kind of rebelling right now. I need to hook them up. What is this? I don't know what's happening up here. What y'all doing there? Homie, don't play that. What y'all doing? What you did I tell y'all get the, excuse me, about to make me lose my religion. If people don't leave home without the American Express, I don't leave home without my mascara. Oh, behave. Oh, whatever. You make me Randy, baby. Why are you so happy? Because I'm here. Are you crazy? The stuff I deal with, stuff I'm dealing with right now, I'm still here when I get through. But when I speak, I don't hurt. But when I get through speaking, like I'm talking to y'all, the pain is in my rooms. Are you through? Well, I don't know. I think I got a little bit more to say. You know, as long as you're speaking, you got a job. We ain't gonna mess with you, but well, when you get through, we're gonna light you up. Let me tell you what happened. This is a true story. I was the program director at WVKO radio station, right? So this news director I hired, I'm not gonna tell you his name. He went to sleep in the newsroom. So I'm sitting up there waiting for him to come in at 10 o'clock to do the news. This time you could rip and tear and read the news off the Associated Press. I'm sitting waiting, got an instrumental playing, and he was in the room sleep. So people came and said, he's in the room sleep, he's not coming now. I put on a long record, and I had everybody come watch, and I put a note in his hand while he was asleep, and the note read, as long as you sleep, you got a job. When you wake up, you are fired. So everybody was watching through the window to see what he's going to do when he woke up. He woke up. Do you know he slept another hour and a half? We got tired of watching him. He slept another hour and a half. I guess he looked to see if we were out there. You never heard that one, huh, John Leslie? That's a true story. That's a true story. I said, as long as you sleep, you got a job. Don't wake up. Okay. Well, listen, what does it take to make it now, Les? Mental resolve, all right? Next thing is, you have to upgrade your skill set. And we teach you how to do that, how to make money in a variety of ways. The other thing is, and I cannot emphasize this enough, getting around the right people. That's why I'm putting this greatness mastermind together. Being around the right people. Sometimes it's not what you know, it's who you know and what they know about you, and being able to have the ability to communicate with people behind doors that you want to get into, and have relationships with people that's on the path of where you are going. Being around the right people, that's major. Do you hear me? That's major. Don't downplay that. Don't try and do this stuff solo by yourself, because it's too many people that's working against you and don't want to see you make it. If there's nothing else we know, 1 out of every 2 people you know that you see every day, they got it out for you. And me too. Why? It's just that way. That's what it is. But we will find a way to win together. All things work together for good, for those, not just one person, for those where 2 or 3 are gathered. Ooh, I will be among you. Whoa, we're not by ourselves? No, absolutely not. Oh, no.
I'm just thinking about myself. I'm doing a little bit of self-reflection just listening to you. I'm just thinking about me on stage and things I'm telling my team. I can't believe how much a lot of your tapes and CDs have already embedded in myself. And by the way, I'm not taking any credit for it. It's just coming from the source right here. And how much of the catchphrases I'm seeing you said, I'm like, Ivan, right? How many times has he said something I've said in
It's like 5 times.
easy? I'm like,
Wow, yeah.
like that's where it came from.
Yeah. Well, one of the things is that we have to train people who want to present and connect people how to deliver info bites. Okay, an info bite to me is
Interesting.
live your life the way that you want to leave your life. Ladies and gentlemen, as I speak to you right now, if you had 90 days to live, how many of you will make some radical changes in your life? And most people raise their hands. And then you take a poll, you know what the majority of them will say? I will quit my job. Why? Because that's not them.
Yeah.
They're not doing something that's them. You spend 40 to 60 hours a week doing something that's not you.
Yeah.
That's stressful. But if you're doing something that's you, that's your passion. And so when you realize that we have a choice to accept life as it is, or be an active force for good, to decide, I don't want to just survive. This is not me. What it takes to survive and what it takes to live, those are two totally different things. And you got to be willing to work for that. A lot of people are afraid of that 4-letter word. Willingness, W, the willingness to do the things today others won't do in order to have the things tomorrow others won't have. O, ownership of your life, taking full responsibility for where you are. George Bernard Shaw said that people that make it in his life, they look around for the circumstances they want, and if they can't find them, they create them. The R stands for willingness to reinvent yourself. To that in order for a man to gain his life, he must lose his life. So you've got to be willing to die to who you are now, to give birth to who you are to become. And the K stands for kindred spirits. You've got to come out from among people who don't have goals, who don't have dreams. People rub off on you. You earn within $2,000 to $3,000 of your closest friends. Academy Award winner Sidney Poitier said, when you go for a walk with someone, something happens without being spoken. Either you adjust to their pace or they adjust to your pace. Whose pace have you adjusted to? And so if people are willing to do the work, whosoever will, let him come. A person convinced against their will is of the same opinion still.
Boom! I love it. I want to ask you this question because we teach financial concepts, we teach financial literacy. It's been kind of weird the last couple of years because a lot of people are just plugging in via Zoom or online.
For folks that are here and watch this conversation that say, absolutely, I agree. I want better. I know I deserve better. But I've been in this position that I'm in here for a little while. How do I start this process? I see the vision on where I could be, but I'm here right now. What say you? What happens tomorrow? What's a practical thing that folks can do when they get up?
Is don't do what you just did. When you and your friend got together and you had a vision of manifesting this, you had no one to go and talk to and ask, how do we do it? This place, this concept did not exist. Our favorite book says, commit thy works unto the Lord, and thy thoughts shall be established. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy path. So you have to just make the commitment. Nothing happens until you make the commitment. Nothing works until you work. You put in the work for this
to take place. And let's use work as an acronym. W, the willingness to do what's required. The willingness to do the things today others won't do in order to have the things tomorrow others won't have. The O stands for ownership mindset. You created a place, a space. Space is very important because God made a space for us before he made us. He didn't just make us and had us dangling in the air. We need a space that we can come to that allow us to create a community so that we can begin to take each other to a place in ourselves that we can't go by ourselves. That's what Mr. Washington did for me on that particular day. The R stands for reinvent yourself. That thinking that got you here won't serve us in this new environment. We're in this place where Peter Drucker said that we must be willing to unlearn, learn, and relearn so that we can navigate where we are right now. And the K stands for kindred spirits, that when you are around people that's going in the direction of where you are going, that what it does is it challenges you. It creates a synergy. It allows you to do things that you could not do by yourself because of the relationships that you're around that hold you accountable to a higher standard. I met a young man named Mike Williams, and I wish all of you write this down. He wrote a book called The Road to Your Best Stuff. And you look so much like the young Mike Williams. And he was my newsman. I was disc jockey at WVKO radio station in Columbus, Ohio. He saw this Les Brown before I saw this Les Brown. He was my newsman. He said, "Brownie." I said, "Yeah." He said, "Man, you can do more than be a disc jockey." It's very important for you to have someone, and this is the value of the gathering spot, a positive connection that will believe in you until your belief kicks in. And I said, "Come on, Mike." I couldn't imagine what he told me I could do. He said, "Man, you can change people's lives around the world." I said, "Are you kidding me?" At that time, I was LB Triple P, Les Brown, your platter plant popper. There were none before me, and there will be none after me. Therefore, that makes me the one and only. Young and single and love to mingle, certified, bona fide, indubitably qualified to bring you satisfaction, a whole lot of action. Look out, baby, I'm your love man. I was hungry. And so he saw this dude, and I'm thinking,
I would have seen him too.
I'm a disc jockey, man. And I said, what do you think I can do other than this? I thought, have you ever had somebody see something in you that you didn't see in yourself? Yeah. And he said, "Les, I see you going to these seminars and these workshops." He said, "I hear you quoting Malcolm and Dr. King all the time." He said, "What's in them, it's also in you." I was Les Brown, the man about town at that particular time. And I said, "What you talk about, Willis?" But he worked with me. We're still together to this day. And he helped me to begin to see what he saw. And it was a process.
When did you see it for yourself?
It was an ongoing process, but I think that the deciding moment was when I spoke in the Georgia Dome. There's a video that's on the internet. Millions of people have viewed it, called "It's Not Over Till You Win." And the guy that invited me, Dexter Yeager, he did not like me at all. He'd never had a black person on his stage as a motivational speaker. He had a choice of Dr. Norman Vincent Peale, Zig Ziglar, Tony Robbins, Jim Rohn. And he asked me, "Do you know why I asked you to come?" I said, "Why?" He said, "Because I need someone who can command this audience." I said, "Oh." And he said, "I don't like you." And I didn't ask him why. I had to remember why I was there. And I just kept thinking, if he's chosen me to do this, I'm not interested in getting into an argument with this dude. Okay? Mike Williams said, Brownie, keep the main thing the main thing. So he said, I don't like niggers. And as I was sitting there, Liberty City was about to come out. And I remember something that Mike told me. He said, anger is a wind that blows out the lamp of the mind. I decided not to get angry. And I didn't answer and I didn't respond. And I know he wanted a response from me. He said, but there's something about you. You speak from your heart. And I need someone to command this audience. And you don't speak from your head, you speak from your heart. And you've come from some hard times. And you are the one to do this job today. I said, thank you very much. And I was frightened. I thought they brought me there to speak to 500 people in a dining room area. And the guy said to me, you Les Brown? I said, yes. Man, what is it like to speak to 80,000 people? I said, I don't know. You don't know? I said, no. He said, come here a minute. So he took me, he said, look out there. You see those people there? I said, yes. He said, that's who you're speaking to. I said, to them? He said, yes. All white audience. I took off and started running down the hall. He said, where are you going? I said, to the bathroom, but it's number 1. So they called Mike and said, Les is in the bathroom and he won't come out, because I couldn't hear the voices in my head. And he said, Brownie, you're scared, aren't you? I said, yes. Brownie, can you hear me? I said, yes. I said, Mike, it's 80,000 people. I've never spoke to an audience that large before. He said, so what? They came to hear you. You didn't come to hear them. I said, Mike, oh my goodness, I can't hear the voices. He said, Brownie, just remember these words: distract, dispute, and inspire. He said, do it for your mother. I said, man, don't use my mama against me. He said, you always said you wanted to buy her home. If you make this happen, man, this will be a big deal. People around the world will see this, and it will be a deciding point in your speaking career. Do it for your mother. She's going to tell the neighbors about it. She's going to say, that's my boy. I'm so glad that I adopted them. And I said, okay. I came out and started walking toward the stage. And when I went up the steps, he looked at me and he said, you got this. And I said, you believe in me, Mike? He said, yeah. You can do this. I said, thank you, man. Because I never had a father. He's just 2 years older than me. But he's like a father said to his son, you can do this. And I felt it in my heart. And I took that microphone and I went out there and I wore him out.
How does one accelerate learning? And so for years I would share with my service business clients early on, when I went from dead broke carpet cleaner to learning how to make that business work, then taking, wow, I figured out a bunch of things that work, and now how do I share them with other people? And I'm definitely afraid of speaking, so I don't want to go speak, and then I would force myself to be in situations where I had to present, although I was a nervous wreck. And then I started going to Toastmasters, and that was incredibly beneficial. And then it dawned on me wow, I'm learning this stuff so much quicker because I'm now putting myself in a position to have to teach other people. So I would then, later share 3 ways to learn something. You learn through the School of Hard Knocks. You just don't ask for directions. Before GPS, there was that whole stereotype of men never ask for directions sort of thing. you just bumble your way through life. You figure it out. You'll learn stuff, but you're going to fail a lot. It's going to be painful. So that's one way to learn. Second way to learn is you learn through the experiences of other people. You read their books, go to their seminars, buy their courses, learn, get educated. Not education in school, but education out of school, right? The real life education. And that's a more effective way to learn. That's why I read a lot of books. That's why I've gone to a lot of seminars. That's why I've hired a lot of people. So then the third way to learn, which is the most, accelerated, fastest way, is you start teaching other people, because then you have to integrate it at a whole nother level. So
I would challenge that.
Well, yeah, I want to hear your perspective on this.
Yeah. When I graduated from high school, I had a friend of mine, Larry Littles. He went to Bethune-Cookman College. We graduated together. They traded him to he went to San Diego Chargers. He was an offensive guard. He was so ineffective there. They traded him for like $2 or $3.
He
had a
really
coach,
ineffective.
very ineffective.
Yeah.
But he went to the Miami Dolphins. Don Shula, a coach. Larry became all-star offensive guard 12 years in a row, inducted into the Hall of Fame, Football Hall of Fame. Very seldom that offensive guards are inducted into the Hall of Fame. What was the difference? The coach. Yeah, what the coach was able to find and bring out of him. When I met Mr. Leroy Washington, when I was in his class, when I was put back, when I fell in the 8th grade, and I was looking for a friend, and you know the story, MacArthur Stevens, and Mr. Washington, who was a speech and drama teacher, and I admired his oratorical skills and how he trained students and my classmates. And he said, young man, he's going to do a play called 12 Angry Men. And so he said, I want you to go out up to the front, and I want you to work this problem out for me. We're looking for something. And I said, sir, I can't do that. I'm just here looking for MacArthur Stevens. He said, I want you to do what I ask you to do anyhow. I said, sir, I'm not one of your students. I'm just looking for my friend. And the other students started laughing, saying, he's Leslie. He's got a twin brother, Wesley. Wesley's smart. He's DT. And they started laughing. And he asked, what's DT? And they said, he's educable mentally retarded. He's in special education. And he looked at me, and I said, I am, sir. And he came from behind his desk. He looked at me. He said, don't you ever say that again. Someone's opinion of you does not have to become your reality. Do you hear me? And I said, yes, sir. He disrupted the story that I believed about myself. And as a result of him, he told me 3 things that served me today that I mentioned earlier. He said, you want to make it in life, don't you? I said, yes, sir. He said, number 1, develop your mind. You don't get in life what you want, you get in life what you are. He said, I want you to listen to this. And he gave me Earl Nightingale, the strangest secret in the world.
Wow.
He says, number 2, practice the principle of OQP, only quality people. The award-winning, Academy Award winner, Sidney Poitier, he wrote a book called The Measure of a Man. He said, when you go for a walk with someone, something happens without being spoken. Either you adjust to their pace or they adjust to your pace. Whose pace have you adjusted to? We're earned within $2,000 to $3,000 of our closest friends. When I found that out, I got all my broke friends out of my life. I said, y'all gotta go. Don't go away mad, but y'all gotta go. And the other thing he said, Mr. Brown, develop your communication skills, because once you open your mouth, you tell the world who you are.
Yeah.
And where's James? James, yeah. Questions of what he said is very important. I did a presentation for a major pharmaceutical company, and when I was getting ready to leave, I saw a sign that said danger zone, and all of these people lined up to go into this room, do a presentation. And I came in and I was curious to find out what was going on. And so there were doctors in the room. I was the only one that was not a doctor except people in the hotel.
And so, and this conference was teaching doctors how to communicate with their patients to encourage them to take their hypertension medication. And if they don't, they will have a stroke, or they can suffer an aneurysm or heart disease. And so I was seated next to the CEO, and he came in late. I said, "Excuse me, sir." I said, "You're the CEO?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Do you have hypertension?" He said, "Yes," and I touched him slightly on his leg. Doctors who touch their patients reduce their chances of having a malpractice suit filed against them by 37%. I said, "You have hypertension?" He said, "Yes." I asked him, "Why do you take your medication?" He said, "I want to live." Then why do you have a fear-based campaign? Why not have it the success zone, appeal to people's desire to want to live? He said, "You got a point." He said, "Can you train doctors?" I said, "Yes." They had all these doctors there. I'm the only one not a doctor, right? The only raisin in a glass of buttermilk. I'm turning red, but y'all can't see it anyhow. He said, "You got a contract. You'd never believe what that contract was for. Training 3,500 doctors, you'll never guess. Anybody? Wild guess. 1 month. How much money I got paid? No, it was small. I just trained them, went to different cities and trained them. But that's good. I like James, you are a prophet. All right, thank you. No, $640,000. Because I asked the right question. I didn't try and sell myself on it. Everybody, you've heard the expression, you can take a horse to the water, but you can't make him drink, right? What we do as coaches and as speakers, we create the want. If you know how to effectively communicate and ask the right questions, then they will want to do business with you. Because our goal and objective, when you look at Joe Polish and his whole staff, they're not here to sell you, they're here to serve you. And that's why you show up. The greatest among you will be your servant. So when you ask the right questions, something Zig Ziglar talked about, and you in your book addresses this. He said, if you give enough people what they want, they'll give you what you want. Maya Angelou said, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And so when you care enough to ask people questions, so as I train speakers, I said, never let what you want to say get in the way of what your customer wants to hear. And all that get understanding, find out who are they? What's going on with them? What challenges are they facing? What's keeping them up at night? What have they done before that did not work, as you talked in those strategic questions? And so I sent out a needs assessment. And when I spoke for Merrill Lynch and talked about these two guys who got together in 1905, one was a businessman, the other one was a visionary. As a result of my doing research, people seated in the audience thought that was just one name. Mm-hmm. And I got another 22 engagements out of that. And so you're asking key questions, but becoming knowledgeable and finding out things about your client and incorporating those things in your presentation. I spoke for a guy named Brian Buffini. Anybody ever heard of him? He sells real estate. So when I go in to speak, I said a needs assessment, Brian filled out. So I wanted to find out where he was and what he wanted, because he's a man that signs the check, okay? Then I talked to his top performers and I extracted stories out of them. And so when I got up and was giving my speech, every point that I was going to make in my speech, I've created a framework how to train people do this. I would use their story as an example. So I said, I was talking to James, and he's been with the company for years, and he said that this place he loves because it helps him to begin to learn more about the customers, that life is a question and how we live our lives is the answer. And so James said he loves being here because it's a family consciousness. And when I talked to Veronica talked about the day that she was thinking about how she was going through a tough time when a family member died, but everybody got together and it gave her the strength to weather that Red Sea, to weather that storm. And when I got to the end of my speech, when I was getting a standing ovation, I said, I'm so glad to be able to see you. And I started walking off, and I said, oh, by the way, I'm not too busy for referrals. That was it. That's his theme. We're never too busy for referrals. I got 56 speaking engagements.
Wow. Wow.
And,
10-minute talk.
yeah. But that's not. But guess what, James? He said, "Wait a minute, Mr. Brown." He said, "This is November." He said, "Whatever number of engagements that you have for the rest of the year, I want them. I'll write the check for them." And at that time, I was charging $35,000 an hour. But he paid for every speaking engagement for the rest of the year because I did research on him. I interviewed the top performers. What is it about you that's different than the rest of the people here? I found out his mission statement. I found out how he met his wife. I said, Brian, one of the things I know about you, when you met your wife, Martha, you became very spiritual and said, the Lord is my shepherd. I see what I want. So complimenting his wife. I did research on him and his people, and the people that came in the room that I interviewed them individually and used their story. They're saying, oh my God, when I would use their story, they start hunching, he's talking about me, And all of those things, you put those elements in, it's different than just going out doing an information dump. If information could change people, everybody would be skinny, rich, and happy. They can Google information. They bring us in. You ask the right questions, you can create an experience. Oliver Wendell Holmes said that once a man or woman's mind has been expanded with an idea, concept, or experience, it can never be satisfied to going back to where it was. And when we look at what this experience that we're going through right now, it's giving us a larger vision of ourselves and allowing us to navigate all the things that we're facing right now.